Hello, I'm Cindy Ehrenberg-Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another edition of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. The greatest impact on a child's life happens in the first few years, where in a safe and nurturing setting, the infant develops the ability to experience and express emotions, form close and secure relationships, explore their surroundings, and learn. Sadly, sometimes family situations are deemed unsafe, and a family may become involved with the dependency system. The Early Childhood Court, or ECC, was created to help the newborn to 5-year-olds in the dependency court system be safely reunified with their families where possible. Alternatively, the next best option is helping them quickly find permanency through relative care or adoption. Presided over by Judge Hope Bristol and General Magistrate Randy Bovin, the ECC in Broward County seeks to heal, support, and enhance child-parent relationships by utilizing child-parent psychotherapy, specialized parenting classes, increased visitation, and frequent court hearings. Family team meetings consisting of a facilitator, the participant, and family and friends of the participant are also part of the program. Joining me to discuss the importance, successes, and aspirations of the Early Childhood Court are Judge Hope Bristol, Jessica Bychek, the Unified Family and Early Childhood Court Coordinator, and Jessica Boxer, Staff Attorney for the Children's Permanency Project at Legal Aid Services of Broward County. Later, we'll also hear from Lena Kell, an attorney representing the interests of parents in the ECC process. Welcome, all of you.
Thank you.
It's so great to have you here. Judge, I have loved Early Childhood Court ever since I attended the Dependency Court Improvement Project meeting, where you did a demonstration of what court used to be like before you learned about ECC and what it's like today. And I will never forget seeing you up there. When I walked into the room, you were up high, wagging your finger at people, and I thought, seen her like that. And then you came down and there you were with your bunny slippers talking to people in such a different way. That transition just has really stuck with me. Tell me how you got there. How did you start as the finger wagger and wind up in bunny slippers talking to parents?
That's actually a great example of why we made that change. And thank you so much for having us here today. We're very excited to be talking about our Early Childhood Court program in Broward County. So a little history. Before I became a judge, I was a sex crimes child abuse prosecutor at the Broward State Attorney's Office and was very much prosecutorial minded, and thought if you hurt your kid, you lost your kid, and I could sleep great at night. To some extent, I brought that personality to the bench, and I saw these families coming into dependency court hurting their kids and not really understanding the reasons why. What was going on with those parents that were causing them to make poor choices and have bad judgment? I was on the bench for about 10 years, and there's an actual thing called compassion fatigue and vicarious trauma, and I felt myself getting burned out. I was seeing these same families come in again and again and again and having more children, and our teen youth in foster care having children that were coming into foster care, and I thought there has to be a better way to do this. And I heard about the National 0 to 3 program, and they were having a conference in Iowa, and I flew up there along with a number of other judges that were interested in having a safe baby court team. And what I learned blew me away. When you really understand the science behind what is happening to these families through something called the Adverse Childhood Experience, or the ACEs test, and you learn about what happens to these parents when their children and how it affects them, not just their own parenting skills, but how it affects a whole litany of other issues, health issues, poverty issues, social issues. It's really not surprising why we continue to see this intergenerational trauma if we're not addressing their reasons why they have these traumas. So I thought, I want to do this in Broward. And I came home from Iowa very pumped up, and we started having stakeholder meetings, and we wanted to bring everybody to the table so everyone could have a say-so and how we were going to make this happen. Because I was tired of being that finger-wagging judge flying around the courtroom on my broomstick. And we had some great people who helped us start, Jessica Bychek, Jessica Boxer. They were in on it from almost the ground floor, and we decided we're going to start taking these families in and start addressing their trauma, start addressing the why they were in that position to begin with. And I decided to come down off the bench and have a therapeutic courtroom and a non-adversarial courtroom. We've got a reading circle in the corner with beanbag chairs for the kids. We've got bookshelves full of stuffed animals. We have a therapy dog that comes in. And I actually don't sit on the bench and conduct these hearings. We have a table brought out, and I sit on the same level as everybody else, sometimes with my bunny slippers, sometimes with alligator slippers, puppy slippers. And we start with the parents instead of starting with the caseworker. And we talk to the parents about how they're doing and making it a very positive interaction instead of a formal court hearing. And what we started to see were these parents really addressing their trauma and addressing their issues about why they were in the situation and why they were making these bad choices. And we started to see them learning and really exercising these frequent visitations and bonding with their children and being reunified with their children, which was the best case scenario. So for me, it was just an amazing transformation from the high stress of a courtroom where everybody was angry to everybody working together as a team for the betterment of the child and their families.
I know observing you, really, it felt like a very supportive environment. You could really tell that you cared about the parent as well as the child. And that gets carried on by Jessica Bychek, who is there coordinating and working with those parents in a very supportive way. Can you talk a little bit about your role in the courtroom?
Right, but part of it is just also, coming from the lens of a child, looking at it through the lens of the child. Like what was, and even in team meetings, sometimes we put the name of the child up there, and sometimes we have pictures and dolls, but it's like, how does this child feel, and what is this child experiencing? And that's how we try to kind of, that's how we try to lead with our hearings, and how does this, is it this child's this child's visitation, not necessarily the parents trying to move toward away from that and nurturing the child's attachments. But as to my role in the courtroom, it's really I kind of like lead from behind the scenes in a lot of ways, doing a lot of things, coordinating the stakeholder meetings and the family team meetings and facilitating that, but also kind of asking if the parents, or if the parents don't feel comfortable leading first, letting the judge know that, and just kind of, because a lot of times in the traditional courtroom, the caseworkers can't talk to the other lawyers, they can't talk to, the other, the parents' attorneys and the parents, or the CLS, or what is it? The AG's
Legal
office,
services.
sorry. They can't talk to the parents, but I can talk to everybody in the courtroom, and just kind of facilitating that communication.
And she's been a great conduit in bringing everybody to the table, and sometimes facilitating that tough conversation
Right.
that some folks in the courtroom really need to have with each other.
Right, and maintain, and still trying to, because I feel like we do have a lot of turnover with a lot of our professionals, but at team meetings, I try to use that opportunity to educate, the new people who might be new to our model, and just always making it like a teachable moment, so.
Well, and you really help the parents get the resources that they need and make sure that they get connected to what they need.
Right, because there are a lot of, you have a list of case plan tasks, but there's also, you might need a bus pass, you need transportation to effectuate a lot of these services that a lot of us maybe don't, we have to read between the lines, and actually breaking that down for them.
And I think that's an important distinction because, at least from what I've observed, in the traditional dependency court, you get a list of tasks, and it's like, here's your list, good luck with that, and come back. And when you come back here, we expect to see you having checked these things off, and if you haven't, you're in trouble.
Right.
This is a lot more of a supportive, like, yes, here's your tasks, but let's see what those barriers are. Let me see how I can help you overcome those barriers and make that happen.
And how we can consolidate.
There's also accountability over everyone in the early childhood court model. I mean, it's not like the parents just get these list of tasks and then we come back 6 months later and we're looking at a goal change because nothing's done. There's such frequent court hearings that, you know, Judge Bristol holds the department accountable if they're not giving referrals on time, and she also gives support to the parents and hears their real actual social issues if they're not able to do things and why they're not able to do things. And you know, the child advocates that work within the early childhood court are really dedicated to it, and they get reports on time. They make sure that they're handling problems in real time. And the model that's practiced is a model of fidelity, right? So there's a limited number of cases that get very special attention. And you're also having such frequent court hearings that you're really solving problems as they're coming up instead of just seeing cases 6 months later.
Yeah, and that's one of the better parts about, one of the biggest differences between our problem-solving court or early childhood court and regular dependency court are the frequency of the hearings. I do require the families to come in every 4 weeks, at least for the first couple of months. And I tell them it's not only to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but it's also to make sure that we're giving them the support that we're promising them. We do want to start the task by having an infant mental health clinician do an assessment on them so that we're not giving them regular cookie cutter tasks, but we're addressing what their specific issues are and giving them the right tasks for them.
I think it makes the parents feel so much more comfortable too in this specialized courtroom than in a regular dependency court, because a lot of times the parents might feel like, oh, we're going before the judge, you know, I'm in trouble, I'm on the hot seat. It's not like that at all. They truly feel supported. They're coming back frequently so that they can tell Judge Bristol what it is that they need in order to be successful.
And a lot of times too is like we have our family team meetings, like we get a lot of the issues out, and if there's kind of maybe some negative, we try to have strength-based family team meetings. And so if there's something negative that needs to be reported, we talk to them about that during the meeting, and you know, try to encourage them to you know, since they're leading, you know, let the judge know and kind of lead with that and keep it strength-based, and they're not so blindsided in necessarily a regular, like I would be in a regular courtroom.
Sorry to cut you off, but speaking of parents, since the goal is eventually to reunite the family and parents, their interests obviously are an integral part of the process. So let's hear from attorney Lena Kell about the work that's involved in ensuring that parents and families have the tools necessary to bring their children back from their attorney's perspective.
I work for the Office of the Criminal Conflict and Civil Regional Counsel. We act as public defenders for parents in dependency court. So what I do in early childhood court is I represent parents and advocate on their behalf throughout the case. Parents should have the best representation in all settings, in all dependency cases. In early childhood court, the process is slightly different. It's not as adversarial as regular dependency court. It is designed to be less adversarial. It's supposed to be very trauma focused and not to further traumatize parents and children who've already suffered trauma in their past. So the goal is for every person in the team to consider all of the parties in early childhood court to be a team. For all of us to work together for the benefit of the families and the children that we serve. So my position really is to advocate to make sure that my clients understand what they need to do in order to complete their case plan and be reunified with their children. Advocate for them with not only the court, but also with the Department of Children and Families through its provider, ChildNet, to make sure that they have the proper referrals, that the service providers are meeting the parents' needs and doing what they're supposed to do in order for the parent to do what they need to do to get reunified. So it's Collaborative, it should be collaborative. You know, if sometimes the parts don't work properly, the team members aren't fully aligned, it can become adversarial, but the goal is for everyone to work together for the best interest of the children and the families. Because ultimately, children are best served, it's in their best interest to be reunified with their parents. Parents have to do certain services in order to be reunited. It's called case plan tasks. The parents are given a case plan with a list of tasks they need to do. One of the key components of early childhood court is what's called CPP, Child Parent Psychotherapy, which is an intensive kind of one-on-one parenting and dyadic therapy with the parent and with the child. So it's one-on-one. They learn parenting skills through that. They also deal with trauma as part of the therapy. So it's a very good program, but it's a long program. Usually about 26 weeks. Can be longer or shorter depending on the parent and the child. Yeah, my goal is to make sure that the parents are on track. You know, that they know what they need to do, that they have the correct referrals and services, that they've started. If there's problems, it's my job to notify the other parties and the court. Look, there's a problem, this provider has a long wait list, 2-month wait list, the parent needs a referral somewhere else, or you know, the parent's not developing a good rapport with this therapist, can we send him or her somewhere else? You know, those are like behind the scenes. And then in court, you know, obviously I present my client's position. Usually I try to keep the case moving along toward reunification. And when there's problems, we try to resolve them in court, you know, to the best we can. And then everyone's explained what they need to do in order to continue with the goal of reunification.
So now we've heard from the parent's attorney's perspective. Jessica, from the child, I'm sure many people think, how could a child have an attorney, an infant or a toddler? What's your role?
Absolutely. So this is new ground that we're breaking in Florida, and I'm very excited about it. As a representative from the Permanency Project for Legal Aid, we represent the children's direct wishes, and we're focusing mostly on younger children, infants and toddlers. The ABA, American Bar Association model says that all children should have attorneys. Florida is not quite there yet, but we are working on it. How we do it.
The Children's Services Council has come to the rescue.
That's right. We are funded by Children's Services Council, and it's a very exciting project. And the way that we sort of approach representing the direct wishes of babies is we go see them, we visit them in their foster homes, in their relative caregiver homes, when they're with their parents. We talk to the parents, we talk to their parents' attorneys, we talk to the caseworker, we talk to their caregivers, we go to their daycare and talk to them. And we sort of gather all of this information and formulate a position. Of course, you know, thinking right off the bat that most babies want to be with their parents, and they want to be with their parents safely and happily. So we take a lot of what I learned in starting early childhood court with Judge Bristol, and we look through the lens of the child, and we look through the trauma that everyone has experienced, and we say sort of, you know, these parents need help. It's not that they're bad or they did something bad. They need some assistance, and let's try and make this work. And the thing that I think is most important to my clients, our clients at Legal Aid, these babies and infants and toddlers, is visitation. That to me really drives the case and determines permanency. When parents are visiting consistently and within the model of early childhood court, which is frequent, at least 3 times a week, and when we have caregivers and foster parents that help co-parent and facilitate visitation, that's really when you have successful reunification. When that's not happening for whatever reason, that's really when the case starts to turn towards other permanency options. So to me, the frequency of visitation is one of the cornerstones of early childhood court, and it's one of the most important things that differentiates this program from regular dependency, where visitation might be twice a month.
And that's a really great point that she brought up, the co-parenting with foster parents and parents, biological parents. We've got this great program called 2 for 2, which we sort of stole from Judge Connie Cohen out of Iowa, where we give, it's the same book, and we give a book to the foster parent or caregiver and a book to the parent. And that way the parent can, through FaceTime or through Skype, can call the caregiver's home and read their child a bedtime story or read their child a book while they're sitting with the caregiver and turning the pages, because the parent also has the book. It's all about creating that parent-child bond between them, which helps speed up that reunification and really gets the parents invested in their case plan tasks and their want and need to be able to get that reunification with their child.
Of course, you know, the impact on the child of getting through the system quickly and being in a permanent placement is so important to their development, which is most important to us. But there's also an economic benefit and a societal benefit to all of this.
There is, and actually the Safe Baby Court teams and early childhood court programs have actually won an award through TaxWatch because of the money that we're saving in getting these kids to permanency at a faster rate than in regular dependency court, whether that be through reunification or through adoption. Because what we learned from these signs is the first 1,000 days, as you had said earlier, the first few years of a child's life is when all that brain activity and all that connectivity of all the synapses in their brain really start to form. So it's important for them to be able to have those bonds and have that permanent attachment with their caregiver, preferably the parent, and get them out of the foster care system and into a permanent home within those first 12 months of life, which is why the Safe Baby Court team won the TaxWatch award.
Now, the number of families that can actually participate in this is quite limited. Right now, we have only one early childhood court. You're seeing processing 40 or 60 families, I believe, each year, but we have many more than that, 0 to 5. So how is it determined who actually gets in?
Well, we have two different orientations. We have an orientation for early childhood court and an orientation for our dependency drug court, which I also preside over in Broward. And we really look to what the trauma is that brought the case into care and whether or not the child and parents would be appropriate for the early childhood court program. With many thanks to the Children's Services Council, we've actually been able to expand our early childhood court program. Jessica Bychek was our only community coordinator when we reached our limit, and you came to the Dependency Summit and saw our business as usual program versus our real early childhood court therapeutic program, and got the Children's Services Council on board to get us another community coordinator so that we could expand our program a little more.
Right, and we've also been able to improve exponentially the quality of delivering the model with doing the family team meetings and a few other of the components that we're able to really give that wrap, with having two of us on, serving the court. So.
Yeah.
Well, we are very committed to making sure that all of Broward's children get the best start that they can. And so I know I can speak for the council and say we're really proud to be partners in this, whether it be training on the paying for the training for the child parent psychotherapy or the coordinator. It's something we're excited to be part of. And hopefully the state legislature is going to buy into this now and will eventually do something.
There's actually two bills up in the Florida legislature right now, one by Senator Book in the Senate and a House bill. And they're making their way through their different committees, and we hope that we're going to see some good progress on that.
Well, we are so proud of all of you, so happy to be partners in all of this. Congratulations on this wonderful work.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Court and legal systems do not exist in a vacuum. They are part of the broader community, a program where judges, families, and other professionals effectively intervene in a child's life to first create a safe environment and then assist families gain the tools to provide permanent, long-term, loving homes, helps promote healthy child development, and ensures a faster exit from the child welfare system. I want to thank Judge Hope Bristol, Jessica Bychek, Jessica Boxer, and Lena Kell for the work they do every day and for helping the broader community understand the vital role early childhood court plays in helping children in foster care grow into healthy, responsible, productive adults. I've been your host, Cindy Ehrenberg Seltzer. For this or any other episode of Future First Focus on Broward's Children, go to our website, cscbroward.org, where you can access our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and remember to join us next time on Future First Focus on Broward's Children.